Welcome to the Sandwich Generation podcast, a resource for adults balancing the dual responsibilities of raising children and caring for aging parents. Whether you're helping your parents downsize, explore real estate options, navigating caregiving, or looking for practical advice to help your family thrive, this is the place for you. Join us as we bring you expert insights, heartfelt stories, and actionable items to support you and your family within this unique generation.
Hi.
Doesn't that intro I'm freezing, so I have a blanket on my legs, but I'm like keep getting myself caught under my wheels of my chair. Sorry.
So I'm super impressed by your editing and intro and outro abilities, because I'm going to enjoy those videos every time we hit record and we get to dance a little bit to our music and your lovely voice.
Oh, well, I think it's going to be one of those things that we're trying to block out of our brains for days after.
I know.
We'll see.
It's a little bit cringy re-listening to these and hearing ourselves. And I got advice from my
hearing our voices. Yeah. What's Helen have to say?
Oh, well, I thought you were going to say, and I got advice too from my family. So Helen told me to move my mic and see my face. That was really all she said. I kept rewinding and watching because I wanted to see like every bit of and she was over it. She was like, "Stop, I'm over it." So I told you my advice, and that's it.
Yeah. Well, we will get better and better, I'm sure. So I know we wanted to just kind of give like a few little intro podcasts and give people an idea of what this is all going to be about. So hopefully we'll like get those wrapped up, and then we can start getting into the meat and potatoes of the podcast, which I know we're both excited about. So, but yeah, do you want to chat a little bit today about why we decided we thought a podcast was needed?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. And I cannot take credit for it because this was your idea, Sara. But I did do a little bit of the research, collected some data because I love data and spreadsheets. So you came up with the idea. I justified it. So it was your idea. Let's do a podcast. So at the end of 2024, I evaluated, as every business should, a small business especially, I evaluated where our business came from. And it was the top three were our educational outreach events that we do for seniors, adult children, and referrals from our database, our sphere of influence. So professional partnerships, people that we know. My mom was like actually a huge contributor of referrals last year. So I told her I owe her a nice dinner. But that number 2 spot was adults. Yeah. So that number 2 spot was adult children. And so I said, okay, well, that justifies why we need a podcast. And so here we are.
Well, and I think in my brain, I just for some reason was like keeping track of the amount of times over the last probably 2 years where I'd be having a conversation with someone, whether it was work related, just chatting with friends, neighbors, whatever, where we would start talking about something and then it would lead to, oh yeah, I listened to that podcast, or I just watched or listened to a podcast on that topic the other day, or have you heard so-and-so speak? They were on this podcast. I heard them interviewed the other day. And it's just like everything kept coming back to a podcast, which I know they've been popular for a while and it seems like everybody has one now. So there's that. But, I just started thinking about like, we are the sandwich generation ourselves, right? Like we have the parents and I have, in-laws that have had some health things come up over the last few years. And we are the sandwich generation. We have the small kids at home. Like, we're kind of stuck in the middle. And what do I do? What does my husband do? He listens to a lot of podcasts as well. We get a lot of our information and interviews and things that we learn about through podcasts these days. So I think it just kind of naturally seemed like it was going to go that direction.
Yes. We are not early adopters to the podcasting format as a form of lead generation for our business, which we're going to talk about in a whole other podcast. But I think it's been kind of fun shortening our learning curve by just getting on the internet and chat GPTing all the things about how to run a podcast and what sort of equipment we need and lighting and API codes for YouTube integration into the website. So here we are. I think it's great. And adult children are our target audience for this podcast. And we're making the podcast, like 30, 40 minutes or so each one. In my mind, adult children are working professionals driving to and from work each day. Maybe this is something that can be some sort of entertainment or education for them on their drive to and from work.
I hope so. We've been educating the seniors themselves at our monthly events that we've done. But it always felt like we're having that conversation with them, and then we're doing round 2 with the adult child.
We are.
Yeah, for sure. And a lot of the cases are also where we've known the older adult, the senior, for a while, where they've been coming to our events, and we've talked to them for many times. But that actual, like, when the process starts and we get going and they become a client, a lot of times has taken that adult child to actually make that phone call to get things going. Or in a recent case I had where the mom had been attending our events for a long time. She knew she wanted to utilize our services, if and when the time came, and had made that known to her daughter. And then unfortunately, she got really sick and ended up in a hospice situation. She was able to stay comfortably in her home. And then the daughter reached out afterwards and said, unfortunately, my mom passed away, which I know you and I were both really sad to hear, but we got to kind of see her life. She shared a lot of information, her obituary that she had done about her mom, and we got to learn even more about her. But that was so just, it feels good to know that we've been involved from, for a couple of years now. And then the daughter could kind of come in and know that she was doing what her mom had wanted by utilizing our services. So, whether we're moving them or we're helping clean out an estate, it just seems like at some point the adult child kind of gets involved. And then it feels like we were doing a lot of re-education, and we thought, well, let's just start educating. That's been our goal from the get. So, yeah.
Yeah. So we're building through our Indy Senior Living Series educational outreach that we've been doing. We're on year 10 now, where the focus, the target audience is the seniors themselves. They attend in person and online. Well, we're not going to do them online anymore for 2025, so you got to come in person. But we were pulling the seniors in, building a relationship with them, like the gal I said gal. I could tell when you were talking just now, you were trying to avoid saying the word folks. And I'm just going to say gal because that's just how I talk.
Folks,
because
we found those words.
Sarah's husband gave us some feedback, and he said,
thanks a lot, Adam.
Anyway, so gals, yes, I know the gal that you're talking about. We were building a relationship with her. We had built a relationship with her through her attending our in-person events. And then at some point, she pulled in her daughter who lived on the other side of the country. We did a virtual consultation with her. And so that's how we sort of got to know her and pulled her in.
Yeah.
But we've been basically doing our presentation about how we can help our clients and potential clients downsize into lower no maintenance living. We've been doing that presentation and education twice. And so kind of the point for this podcast is to build the relationship with the adult children simultaneously. So we're still doing our in-person events. We've just sort of shortened those a little bit. Instead of doing them once a month, we're doing once a quarter. So we're still doing those to keep that relationship going with the senior clients. But now this podcast will pull in those adult children so that they're not behind in the relationship that we've already created with the seniors. So we can create those relationships simultaneously, saving everyone time and effort. And yeah, I'm all about efficiency. Are you frozen?
Yeah.
You were frozen
I
for
think
a really
I
long
got frozen
time.
for a minute. So
Yeah, that's okay.
great.
We're going to keep it because we're not
No,
going to
that's
edit
all right.
this. People just want to see the real,
Hey.
What happens.
Yeah. This is the real life. What happens. Yep,
Yeah.
you're right. Okay, I think that kind of wraps up what I wanted to share about why we wanted to do the podcast. Do you have anything else you want to throw in there?
Well, I'm looking at my notes here on the other side of the screen, and I do have a little bit about the vision. So our vision, and we're going to get into like some
Okay. Yeah.
specific topics or whatever, but our vision is to provide support to the adult children who are going through it with their parents, support, education, and like we talked about, pulling them into the relationship a little bit sooner. As we're walking alongside their parents, we can also be pulling them in at the same time. So that's the point and the vision of this podcast.
Okay. Awesome. Well,
All right.
I think we'll be able to share a lot.
Yes, we will see you in the next episode. Be sure to like, subscribe, follow, all those things. Right? Bye.
Yes.